the government assures Kenyans. All right, welcome to the broadcast. My name is Frederick Muitiriri. My sign language interpreter tonight is Michael Maithia. We start with Parliament, where President Uhuru Kenyatta has emphasized on the need for multipartyism as the 2022 general elections approaches. This is attributed to the past elections since the year 1992. As the country gears towards celebrating 30 years of independence, Uhuru has reiterated the importance of constitutional change that was being spearheaded through the Building Bridges Initiative BBI, saying that it would fuel equity in terms of allocation of resources. Kenyatta has also noted that the spending during electioneering period is a matter of concern as the country gears towards the 2022 general elections preparations, further noting that at least 1 billion shillings was lost every day in more than 100 days during the last elections.
We must not ignore the very real negative aspects of our politics and electioneering. The evidence of this is plainly observable in the elections of 1992, 97, 2007, 2013, and 2017. If indeed Article 1 of the 2010 Constitution states that all sovereign power rests in the people of Kenya and can be exercised either directly or through their representatives, the people made their voices heard with regard to the First Amendment. They exercised this power directly through the IEBC petition for constitutional change. They made this petition indirectly through the county assemblies and parliament. And the record of Parliament attests to the fact that the people of Kenya wanted a constitutional change, but a few individuals sat down in a back room and they decided otherwise.
All right, and now we can go to Parliament building where our very own reporter David Kagina is at Parliament, and he is having some of the reaction from members of Parliament in the just concluded State of the Nation address.
Ago, and there are a number of issues that the president has touched on, and joining me right now is Wundanyi, member of parliament, who will be getting to telling us, have you been satisfied, or rather did the president address the issues that you were expecting he would?
Thank you so much. Today we expected the president to highlight his development record, which he did very well. In fact, if you listen keenly to the president, he was really saying that, talking to the naysayers, that those who have said that the president has not delivered in his second term, he's truly come out very strongly to say that, to set a discussion about his legacy. He's talked about everything, and you realize the speech was 2.5 hours long, because I think he could not afford to leave anything out. He's spoken about his legacy. He's spoken about everything that is touched, however small, He's talked about infrastructure. He's talked about how, in fact, one thing that came out strongly, you remember Kenyans have been talking about the militarization of, things that like Kenya Meat Commission and the building of the railways that and the Nairobi Metropolitan, that he has given a lot of attention to military officers running what previously would be run by ordinary people, and he's brought out a clear rationale. You realize that he talks about Kenya Meat Commission that was collecting only 8,000 shillings per day. Today they are collecting 1 million shillings under the military order, and so the president has done well, I must say. But secondly, I must also admit that the president is also caught in the catch-22 situation, where he talked about the failure of BBI, and he was categorical that the people who suppressed the majority will, because 5 million Kenyans voted and said they wanted BBI. The parliament, county assemblies said they wanted BBI. And now the president was clear today that the people who frustrated his effort to bring in inclusivity, to bring in new order, particularly taking more money for devolution, were seated in that chamber. And I'm sure he was talking about a few people. Maybe he was talking about the deputy president, maybe he was talking about the judiciary. No one knows. But again, he was very categorical that reggae will continue, and that's the part I think the discussion will move on, because he said, you know, it is not over yet. He talked very clearly and said, I think the things that we pushed on the BBI, the things about proportional representation, he said that this must continue. So we don't know what exactly is in his mind. We don't know whether he wants it. I'm sure it can't continue between now and the next election. Maybe he has somebody in mind that will continue this reggae after August 9th next year. Thank you
so much, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
You've had it right there, fresh from the horse's mouth. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David Kagina, who is at the Parliament building, just collecting some of the views from members of Parliament, their reactions towards what the President was giving earlier today. It's a speech that lasted more than 2 hours, started around 3:30 all the way to 6 p.m., 6:04 to be precise, and he said actually he was cutting it out. And right about time, we are joined by Joel Chacha, also in Parliament, and he's telling us, and he's doing some of the interviews. Joel, can you hear me?
Well, indeed, Fred, I'm still live at the Parliament buildings here in Nairobi, where the President has actually addressed the Parliament, 141 members of Parliament, and I'm joined by one of them to just talk to us about one of the concerns that has been raised. That actually, thank you for joining us. Let's speak on this concern that the President has said that the constitutional moment is now, and there is need actually to amend the Constitution right now.
Well, I'm not sure that the President...
For the sake of our viewers, you can begin with the name on
sure.
you.
My name is Enoch Wambua, Senator KITUI County. And I want to make it very clear. I'm not sure that the President said that we amend the Constitution now. Because the process of amending the Constitution now, through the BBI process, is a long process. It's not something that happens in a day or in a week. It's a process. I am not very sure what he meant by that, but what I would say is that the process of amending the Constitution to accommodate the proposals as contained in the BBI will be a process that has got to go back to Kenyans. The Kenyans have got to agree on exactly what it is that needs to be contained in that document. As of now, yes, it passed through both parliaments. It passed in the county assemblies, but if you listen to the voices of the people on the ground, that bill, that document is not that popular.
Could there be a possibility of the postponement of the 9th August elections in 2022?
No, you cannot postpone the elections because elections are defined in the Constitution. It is not a day that anybody picks. It's picked by the Constitution. It is the second Tuesday of August of every 5 years. That's when you're going to have an election.
We understand.
It's not something that you'll just wake up and say you're fixing it on a different day.
We understand that the Supreme Court actually will be ruling on BBI in January. Do you think, the President's word on the judiciary, he has actually expressed that he's not satisfied with the ruling by the judiciary on BBI. Could that actually change how things will be maybe come January?
No, it can't change anything. I mean, decisions of courts are made on the basis of facts and evidence. So they are not influenced by what people or leaders say on matters that are before the courts. So that decision is a decision that will be made by judges on account of evidence and facts before them.
Also, the President has suggested that MPs and senators, to push their time before going for the recess. Do you think that will be possible?
No, I don't think he said that. I think what he said, my understanding of it was, yes, we should adjust our time to make sure that the urgent and critical legislative agenda before us is completed by the time we dissolve Parliament for the next elections. So there are so many ways of doing it. We can do that by by shortening our own calendar or prolonging our own calendar. And the calendar of Parliament is decided by members on the floor. So members, they decide to extend or shorten, is a decision that we'll make on the floor.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Well, that Fred has been one of the senators who was actually listening to President Uhuru Kenyatta in his State of the Nation address. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Joel. Of course, reactions from different quarters, and some of the reaction, and I'm seeing them online, they can be clustered as pro handshake and the other side of the coin. I'm seeing a lot of reaction, and I've seen so many people who are commenting on the State of the Nation address today. And we are back with David Kagina, who is speaking to Gladys Wanga right about this time. David, take it over.
I think what the president used this platform to do was express his disappointment on record as to what Kenyans lost with the BBI having been struck out by the courts. It was because there was a lot, and the unfortunate bit is that Kenyans themselves, over 5 million of them signed that they wanted what was in the BBI. Parliament passed it, county assemblies passed it, and therefore, and overwhelmingly, you know, it was not even a contested issue, it was overwhelmingly supported. So I think the president used this opportunity to outline the losses, like the losses in resources, in equity, for example, equity in representation, equity in resource allocation, where your vote counts just the same as mine, you know. These are losses that Kenyans for a long time will cry about. So for me, I think it was more about what we lost, and the president remaining hopeful that even though we lost it this time, there will be an opportunity to gain it.
The matter is in the Supreme Court, and the hearing will be in January. Is there a possibility we have, BBI before elections?
I wouldn't take it literally. I wouldn't take what the president said literally, that BBI will return. I think what he meant is that Kenya is in a constitutional moment. One way or the other, these changes will find their way. Whether it's now, whether it's after election, it remains out there. But what the president meant was that these particular issues that he highlighted, Kenyans wanted them, they would benefit Kenyans, they didn't happen, but there's going to be an opportunity for Kenyans to get them. For me, if as a listener of the president's speech, I would say that the president was more expressing on record what Kenyans lost. And Kenyans should therefore hold accountable the people who fought the BBI. They should hold those people accountable for those losses. An example is Central Kenya was supposed to get several constituencies, several new constituencies. Central Kenya was supposed to get a bigger allocation of resources. The same people who claim to be their friends are the same people who fought these things that they would have gotten. So, politically looking at the president's speech, it meant the president was laying the blame where it belongs.
When addressing the COVID-19 issue, do you think enough measures actually have been set, especially now to tackle the new variant Omicron?
Yes, I think we've done very well. I think
to close the borders,
No, I think we have come to learn to live with COVID, and we will continue to. And I think the biggest call now is for vaccination. Can we go for the jab so that we take responsibility for ourselves but also for others? That will be able to move us forward.
And maybe Mheshimiwa, on the last one, this one now, besides the president's speech, we've had IEBC withdraw from the Election Preparedness Committee. What is your stand on that?
IEBC is walking down a very slippery path, extremely slippery path. Chebukati is confirming our fears, or my own fears, as to his own independence. And if he continues in this same trend, we will be forced to take more drastic action.
Of course, members of parliament giving their views to the State of the Nation address that was addressed by the president at the parliament building. We are taking in a short commercial break. We'll be back with more in a short while. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back. Now, Kenya's economy has indicated a record of 10.1% GDP growth in the second quarter of 2021, the highest growth rate that the economy has ever indicated in history. This is after indicating a negligible of 0.3% growth in the year 2020. Speaking during his 8th State of the Nation address, President Uhuru Kenyatta has said that over the last 8 years of his regime, Kenya has grown from 12th wealthiest country in Africa in 2013 to 6th wealthiest nation this year. Our business reporter Brian MWENDWA breaks down this economic growth.
After recording the lowest economic growth rate of 0.3% in 2020, Kenya has recorded the highest growth rate in history after indicating a 10.1% growth in the second quarter of 2021. This has been majorly informed by the 21.1% growth rate in the ICT sector, 16.9% in the transport sector, and a high of 9.6% in the manufacturing sector, according to the President Uhuru Kenyatta.
However, the hotel industry presents a more compelling picture of recovery from the COVID menace. By the second quarter of 2021, this industry was on a path of recovery and had grown by 9.1%, showing a remarkable upturn.
The President has also lauded Kenya Revenue Authority for surpassing the tax collection target of 1.5 trillion Kenyan shillings and collecting up to 1.67 trillion Kenyan shillings.
In the last 8 years, KRA has collected Kenya shillings 10.8 trillion cumulatively in revenues. This means that in just 8 years, KRA has collected the equivalent of Kenya's total GDP.
The President also boasts of a double GDP growth from the inherited 4.74 trillion Kenyan shillings GDP in 2013 to 11 trillion Kenyan shillings in 2021. Additionally, the President is also proud of leading the country from being the 12th wealthiest country in Africa, which is a record from the previous regimes, to the 6th in the African continent. This year's growth rate is projected to be 6% in the next financial year.
Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Brian MWENDWA.
Thank you, Brian. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has today urged Kenyans to remain cautious of the new wave of OMICRON virus and be vaccinated, saying this is the only way the country will emerge victorious of the COVID-19 pandemic that has ravaged the world. Majibu Kitao with more.
In his 8th State of the Nation address at the Parliament buildings, President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on all Kenyans to remain cautious of COVID-19, as he also pointed out on the new strain Omicron as a virus of concern.
Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, and honorable members, to give a brief account on the state of our national response to emerging disruptions. Specifically, I want to now put on record how the power of choice on the part of our administration, as supported by Parliament and indeed the county governments, turned the COVID-19 pandemic from a national crisis to what I believe is an intergenerational opportunity.
Kenyatta has further pointed out that COVID-19 response led to greater improvements in the health sector.
To improve the standard of healthcare facilities, my administration has boosted bed capacity, improved access to medical equipment, and increased the number of medical training schools. In 2013, for example, the total bed capacity in public health facilities stood at 56,000 hospital beds. This has increased by 47% to 82,000 hospital beds in 2020.
Kenyatta has also applauded Kenyan-based companies which saw an opportunity amid the pandemic and innovated business processes to optimize on the new opportunity.
In 2013, when I took over, there were only 26 dialysis machines countrywide. Today, that number stands at 603 dialysis machines. These machines have thus far benefited 383,000 patients, and through the NHIF scheme, they have saved Kenyans approximately 2.3 billion Kenya shillings. A Kenyan company known as Revital, operating in Kilifi County in the coast region, became Africa's largest producer and exporter of vaccine syringes during the COVID period. In 2020 alone, Revital exported 70 million COVID syringes to over 20 countries globally. In fact, Revital currently has the capacity to produce 300 million COVID vaccine syringes every year. The global shortage for COVID vaccine syringes stands at 2 billion, and this itself is taking advantage of opportunity.
Majibu Kitsao for Switch TV.
Thank you, Majibu. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has once again reiterated that his commitment to protecting Kenya's territorial integrity. The president has vowed that not even an inch of the country's geographical area will be lost to aggressors. Here is Daniel Anunda with more.
The border dispute between Kenya and Somalia clearly is not ending soon, with the two countries having maintained their first stand on the issue. In his State of the Nation address today, President Uhuru Kenyatta echoed his earlier stand on safeguarding and protecting Kenya's territorial waters, noting that it is imperative not only for the current generation, but also for generations to come.
The government of Kenya will do everything possible to preserve the territory of this great republic and ensure that generation after generation of Kenyans dwell in it, as it is, in fact, intact and unencumbered. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as I have said before, not an inch more and not an inch less.
At the same time, the head of state noted improvements in the security sector, with over 47,000 new recruits added into the military since 2013, and the country's first small arms factory in Ruiru aimed at cutting costs of acquiring weapons for the security forces.
We have invested in military manufacturing capabilities that have not only resulted in the spurring of previously dormant sectors, but the creation for jobs for young people, both directly and through ancillary services. For the first time in Kenya's history, we are producing our own light weapons and military uniform and other equipment and supplies that were previously imported.
This is his 8th State of the Nation address since he was elected into office in 2013. Reporting for Switch TV, I'm Daniel Anunda.
And on the last story of the State of the Nation address, President Uhuru Kenyatta has defended the workmanship of the Kenyan Defence Forces after tasking it to take over the Kenya Meat Commission and among other institutions. Uhuru further pointing out on corruption as the major barrier to achieving the goals of a developed and economically stable country.
I elected to use the Kenya Defence Forces because of their unity of command, military efficiency, and reasonable pricing. As an example, after KDF took over the Kenya Meat Commission, they turned it around in just a few months. Whereas previously, it took farmers 4 years to be paid, they are now paid in 72 hours. KMC has resuscitated the outlets that KMC have, collecting today approximately 1 million shillings every day. Previously, this outlet collected 8,000 shillings daily. Mujiulize hiyo pesa ingine ilikuwa inaenda wapi? This 1 million translates to 30 million every month and Kenya shillings 3.6 billion annually in just one outlet. Before September 20th, such revenue would have been impossible.
Let's get sporty now. Football Kenya Federation President Nick MWENDWA has today been freed on 10 million shillings cash bail or 15 million bond after being charged with 4 counts of fraud which involved 38 million shillings by the country's Directorate of Criminal Investigations. MWENDWA has also been restricted by Milimani Senior Principal Magistrate Eunice Nyuto from accessing FKF offices without the permission of the court, as well as not interfering with any of the prosecution witnesses or speaking to the media. Now, gaming company MozartBet has today launched a 31-day promotion competition for its customers that will see them walk away with 31 cars for the month of December. The promotion competition, dubbed OMOKA na MOTI Daily, will focus also in supporting the local manufacturing industry. The competition, which starts on December 1st to 31st, will see daily winners walk away with a Renault Kwid car or Proton Saga cars which have been made locally, assembled locally. In line with the competition, the company's marketing manager Frank Ocheng and its deputy country manager Akino Wakai have reiterated that the company is focused on promoting responsible gaming as well as cooperating with the government in enforcing the laid down policies and regulations.
It's an opportunity. As you know, the betting industry basically sells opportunities. We provide opportunities to our valued customers. And if anyone would be lucky enough to win any of these vehicles, you know, the choice is really what he wants to do with the vehicle. One can opt to make it an Uber and generate income, or one can use it for their family. So we believe that the return is immense. Remember, we told you the stake is only 50 bob. So the cars here, the average value is 1.5 million. So we believe that there's a very good return for whoever is lucky enough to win a vehicle here today.
We'll also give to the grand winner a grand prize of an apartment in Uptown Kileleshwa. We are not competing, but I would say that we are leaders in corporate social responsibility. So far we have spent around 90 million shillings in the medical equipment donations and in the other CSR that we do, that is Action 100 Wells, where we strive to drill 100 wells for different communities in different counties around Kenya. We have also so far done 8 boreholes in 8 different counties, just to show the Kenyan community that we are responsible. We are a responsible gaming company operating in this market.
From that story that was produced by Clifford Dombe, my name is Frederick Mitiriri. My sign language interpreter is Michael Maidi. And just to remind you, EPL is returning tonight after a break from Ballon d'Or that was won by Lionel Messi. Why? Lewandowski was supposed to win. Okay, tonight, Leeds United versus Crystal Palace at 23:15 hours. Newcastle versus Norwich City at 22:30 hours. Do have yourself a good night. See you again, same time, same place tomorrow.